By now, two things should be clear. Motivation fades, and willpower exhausts itself, not because people don't care, and not because they lack discipline, but because neither motivation nor willpower was designed to sustain behavior over time. That leaves an obvious question. If effort doesn't stabilize behavior, what does? Most people keep switching between motivation and willpower. When motivation is high, they rely on excitement. When motivation fades, they rely on effort. When effort fails, they blame themselves. Then they wait for motivation to return. This cycle can repeat for years, not because the goal is wrong, but because the approach never changes. What's usually missing is structure. Not rigidity, not control. Structure. Structure is what reduces the need for constant decision-making. It doesn't push behavior forward. It makes behavior easier to repeat. That difference matters. When people hear the word system, they often imagine something complex. Rules, schedules, pressure. But psychologically, a system is much simpler than that. A system is any setup that makes the desired behavior easier to perform than to avoid. It removes friction. It limits choices. It reduces mental negotiation. Instead of asking, "Do I feel like doing this today?" the system answers the question in advance. Resistance increases when behavior requires repeated conscious effort. Every decision adds weight. Every choice adds fatigue. Structure reduces this cost. When actions are predictable and contained, the brain stops treating them as threats. The behavior no longer feels like something that must be forced. It becomes something that simply happens. One reason many people resist change is that it feels endless. Open-ended commitments create pressure. The brain responds to that pressure with avoidance. Short, contained frameworks change this dynamic. A clear beginning reduces uncertainty. A clear end reduces overwhelm. The goal is not permanent transformation. The goal is interruption. Interrupting old patterns long enough to observe behavior without relying on motivation. Containment matters more than duration. This is why some people use short, structured programs, like 18-day frameworks, to experiment with consistency without depending on motivation or willpower, not as a promise, and not as a shortcut, but as a way to reduce decision fatigue and introduce structure temporarily. Systems do not guarantee outcomes, they don't create discipline, and they don't remove effort entirely. What they do is change the conditions under which behavior operates. Instead of relying on force, they rely on design. Responsibility shifts from try harder to set things up better. When behavior stabilizes through structure, something important happens. Self-trust increases, not because motivation improved, but because consistency no longer depends on mood or energy. This is what makes change quieter, less dramatic, less emotional, and more reliable. If motivation and willpower have been unreliable for you, that's not unusual. They were never meant to do this job alone. Understanding structure is often the missing step. For those who want to explore structured approaches, I've left a reference in the description. No pressure. This channel will continue focusing on understanding behavior, not forcing it. If these explanations are useful, you can explore more on this channel.